Hey guys, it's Jamie, and this week's video is all about my experience of socially transitioning and some of the expectations and reality I had in relation to that. I socially transitioned nearly 6 years ago when I was 17. I feel old. I still think I'm 18 most of the time. Socially transitioning is where transgender people come out and begin living as their correct gender opposed to the one they were assigned at birth. So for me, I stopped living as female and started living as male. And I guess in the build up to that, and when I was kind of working through things in my head and thinking about how everything would go, I did have some expectations of how things might go and how people might react and how it might be and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna go over some of those in this video right now, maybe in like 10 seconds or something, or 20, or make it 30. So for me, socially transitioning involved coming out to friends and family, coming out to my college and going back in my second year as male and Jamie, changing my name legally and socially, starting to wear a binder, and just generally presenting myself as male in all aspects of my life. I personally found socially transitioning a very difficult aspect of transitioning because it made me feel very vulnerable and like I was just kind of throwing myself out into the unknown because I kind of had no real idea of how everyone in my life was going to react and how it was going to go. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some of the main points of socially transitioning for me and go through a few expectations and reality of each. First up is coming out. Probably the scariest step, I think, but to be honest, I was very lucky with my friends and my family. I feel incredibly grateful. They were all accepting, if a little bit confused, right from the beginning, and everyone was just fantastic. Much better than I could have expected. I did find some acquaintance type friends, you know the type, just kind of dropped off the radar, stopped talking to me, but that's fine. There's no big loss. I also expected a lot of questions when coming out. I got some questions, but they weren't as weird or kind of invasive or anything as I thought they would be, or certainly not in my real life. Online is a different story. But I think like the weirdest thing I got asked was just, oh, so when are you gonna get the sex change and have a willy? I don't think I answered it. I think I just nervously laughed. Number 2, going back to college. I say coming out was the scariest thing, but this was also very scary. I think it's all just a big scary mess of a time, or it certainly was for me. So I transitioned and I came out to friends and family and everything over the summer between my first and second year of college, and I was really terrified about going back. I never expected the college to handle things as well as they did. They were fantastic, really, to be honest. They were really great, and I didn't expect them to be that great. I wasn't expecting them to be terrible, but they just kind of went above and beyond, and they were awesome, basically. I got birth named quite a lot by teachers, a lot more than I expected, because it's like such a big college and they teach so many students. I didn't think that kind of my name and pronouns would be a habit for them or so automatic that they would kind of mess up quite a bit. And it was definitely a very awkward experience for everybody involved. Some made a bigger deal of it than others with apologizing and making it very clear that they'd made a mistake, which I don't hold anything against them for that. It just made it very awkward for me. It was definitely a ground, please swallow me up right now kind of moment. I was definitely cringing inside whenever it happened, and it wasn't something that had crossed my mind that could happen. So it was definitely quite an unexpected aspect. And then obviously it's a college, there were rumours and gossip and everything, but not as much as I expected, although I can't really tell if that's because there just wasn't very much, or if I just did a really good job of ignoring it, which is what I tried to do. Using the toilet at college was just as awkward as I expected it to be. The college let me use the disabled toilets, and I could never bring myself to use the guys. I think I kind of tried to go in a couple times, but I was too nervous of like a guy who'd known me from last year before I came out seeing me in there and having questions, or like, I don't know, confronting me or something. I'm not really sure what I expected to happen, but using the guys' toilets at my college was just something I could never bring myself to do, but I always felt really weird and like I was doing something naughty using the disabled toilet. But it was really nice of the college to let me use the disabled toilets, and it was far less awkward than using the female toilets had been the previous year before I came out. That was weird. I'll put a link in the description of a particularly awkward encounter I had. Encounter? That's weird. I can't think of the word. Number 3, changing my name. So there's kind of 2 aspects to this. There's like the whole legal, actually changing my name, and then there's the whole kind of social side of it and people using my new name. In terms of the legal side, I had no idea what the process was before I started looking into it, and I thought that it was going to be some really complicated, convoluted thing, but it was way simpler than I thought it would be. It was literally just find a website, fill in a form, pay some money, get your deed poll, get it signed. Ow, I just punched my laptop. Oh. And then use that deed poll that was signed to change my name on things like my driving license and my passport, which cost more money than I thought it would, but it wasn't particularly complicated. It was okay. The driving license was fairly easy. The passport was a little bit more complicated because I needed like letters from specialists and stuff like that. But the actual kind of social use of my new name was a little bit more challenging and uncomfortable at times. Perhaps even more so than I expected it to be. My friends and family tried really hard, and I completely appreciated and respected how much they were trying and how slip-ups were accidental and just habit, but it definitely got to me a lot more than I thought it would when they would slip up and use the wrong name and pronouns. My birth name also kept popping up, it rearing its ugly head when I didn't want it to, for much longer than I thought it would. It's like, you know, even years down the line, occasionally somebody would just use it, and both of us would be surprised that it had been used. It took me much longer to start responding kind of automatically to Jamie and male pronouns than I thought it would. So although it felt right and I knew it was right, it's surprising how much you get stuck yourself in the habit of a name and pronouns that you've been referred to your whole life, even if they make you feel really uncomfortable. So I stopped responding to like my birth name and female pronouns, but the name Jamie still took a while to kind of sink in. I don't know, to become mine properly and for me to respond to it. And at first that did make me feel a bit weird because I was like, what does this mean? But it doesn't mean anything, it just means you're breaking a habit, basically. Number 4, being misgendered. It didn't happen as much as I thought it would, but when it did happen, it made me feel worse than I expected it to. I thought I'd be able to deal with it, and with people I knew, it was okay when it was like a mistake. It kind of didn't feel good, but I could deal with it. But what really got to me is when it happened in like one-off exchanges. So like if I was getting off the bus or I was buying something in a shop and they referred to me as female, it felt horrible to walk away from that situation, not wanting or feeling comfortable to correct them and going, oh my god, that person saw me as female. And that was it kind of sounds really trivial, and it's like, it's not as if they were gonna think about me again, but just when I was trying to be kind of recognized as male and as the gender I was, it was not. It was a little bit heartbreaking when stuff like that happened, and it didn't feel good at all, and it just made me feel all ugh. And finally, number 5, living as male. So this is kind of just a general socially transitioning point, really. It felt so much better than I could have ever expected it to, and it just made an instant difference in my life and how I felt about myself and about my future and everything like that. And I didn't expect it to have such a massive impact like that. It was something I knew was right and I had to do, but I also knew that there were going to be difficulties with it. So I completely expected to find it more a tough experience rather than a relief. But it instantly made me feel happier and more comfortable with myself, and that feeling, those positive feelings, completely outweighed being misgendered or having rumors or getting awkward questions and everything like that. It was just a good time, and although it was scary and terrifying and not always positive, it was so worth it. So yeah, that was my kind of general experience of socially transitioning. Obviously it's just my experience and other people's will be different, but I hope kind of it can help or be useful in some way to somebody. I'm sure I've probably forgotten some things because it was a fair while ago, because I'm so old now, I'm not a teenager anymore. I'd love to hear some of your experiences and what the best thing about socially transitioning has been for you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye!